The Colour Cave website is home to the Stash Shop, where we provide quality used art supplies and some new supplies at decent prices for you, specifically the cavers. Up for grabs in the Stash Shop today are the Peerless watercolours that were featured in the last scroller box. I feel that someone will get much more use out of these than me, so I've decided to put them in. I also have a copy of this, is the Big Book of Colour Charts. I already have this book and someone has gifted this to me, and I have their blessing to pass it on to some of you, and there is more room for colour swatches than you can shake a stick at, and this is a really beautiful book, so that is also up for sale in the Stash Shop today. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem. Today we are heading back to our Parrotfish and Intricate Ink Animals in Detail, and it is volume 3. We are also doing a giveaway today, which we'll do at the end of the video, and that is courtesy of Mr. Tim Jeffs himself and the lovely Jo Warren that helps Tim out and also runs his Facebook group. If you want to see more of Tim's work and people colouring his art, you can go and join the Facebook group. I'll leave the link to Tim's YouTube channel and also a link to the Facebook group down in the description. Everyone's very friendly, really nice bunch of people, so if you like this sort of thing, well worth heading over there. Tim has agreed to give away digital copies of some of his colouring books, so if that is something that you're interested in, then hang on to the end of the video and you can see how to enter. So we're going to get on and do a little bit more with this dude today. We are just carrying on with the same pencils we used before. I'm just going to run through those very quickly before we get started so you know what to have out. I'm going to list all the pencils just in case I decide to go back in and add in some details with some of the previous pencils. Now, as mentioned last time, these are in pairs, so it's 2 colours for each section. So for our yellows, we have the cadmium yellow and the dark chrome yellow, pink madder lake and mid purple pink, manganese violet and my favourite mauve, cobalt green and helio turquoise. And for our blues here we have the cobalt blue, greenish, and we also have the Prussian blue as well. As before, I also have my Tagal multi sharpener and it's on a setting number 5 to get a nice long pointy point for all these weeny areas that we're going to have to deal with. So we're going to get going with our yellow pencil first of all. We're going to start with the cadmium yellow, so the lighter yellow. And we're going to give him a yellow chin. Now, I did say way back at the beginning, I looked at lots of different pictures and different types of parrotfish before I started. I have not picked a particular colour scheme for any one type of fish. I've just decided to pick lovely, nice, colourful pairs of pencils. So this is kind of like a made-up colour scheme, but generally lots and lots of the different types of parrotfish are very brightly coloured, so I figured that this would be fitting anyway. So in these lighter areas here, I'm just going to put down this yellow. I'll just cover off these lighter areas here, and we're going to do the same on this part here, and this part onto its fin as well. Light layer of that. And then we're going to grab the dark chrome yellow, and again there's lots of places here where Tim has indicated that there are darker areas, so we're really going to do a lot of blending here. So I'm just going to kind of pop in a little bit of this darker colour in these areas where Tim's shading is darker, which is the best way to go about things when you are working on grayscale images like this. And we've got a bit of artistic license here as well, so we can play about with this a little bit. Okay, so before we start really working in and building that up there, I want to go back to the colours that I was using before, because we've got this section to tackle as well here, and this is going to be interesting. We might be here for some time with this. So I'm going in with the pink, which is the pink madder lake, and I'm going to start to fill in all these little areas here and just work my way across. So just a medium pressure. I do want this to stand out because this darker area is quite dark, and that's going to be the turquoise colour, so I want to make sure I've got a nice layer of this pink down so that it's going to pop out against the turquoise the same way as we've got going on here. So I'm filming this late afternoon, not my favourite time of day to film because I am very much a morning person. I'm much more productive first thing in the morning. I have had an incredibly busy week, but also having really bad problems with my elbow and my shoulder, and it's on the same side. Some of you might remember a while back I'd really badly hurt my neck, and I seem to be having a lot of problems, and it's basically like tennis elbow I've got. And today is a day where I haven't been using my arms quite as much, so it's agreeable with me just now to sit down and film this where I know that my elbow isn't going to feel on fire in 10 minutes. So I am taking steps to try and mend it a little bit. I've got exercises to do and one thing and another, but I've had to be very careful about deciding how I'm going to expend my energy over a day. It's not too bad when I'm working my proper job, and I've found that taking my laptop out of the cave and putting myself in a comfortable position in a softer chair where I can prop my arm up, it just seems to put it at a better angle where it's not putting so much stress on my elbow. So yeah, this afternoon has been a good idea for me to do this. So I thought I would just take the bull by the horns and go for it. It is incredibly windy outside. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Considering we're into June now, we're not getting summer weather at all, and it's horrible. It was raining earlier as well. It's not my idea of fun, but you know, what can you do? It's Scotland. We should really be used to it by now. But one of our favourite pastimes collectively as a nation is to complain about the weather. If we didn't complain about the weather, I think we'd all feel as if we had a huge void in our life. So yeah, we'll just embrace that. But I'm hoping that maybe later on we will get some nice weather, maybe into July. We can be hopeful, but we did, aside from the storms, in terms of actual temperature and snow, we had very little. We actually had quite a mild winter, all things considered. It was just very windy and dangerous. And quite often after that's happened, we get a terrible summer. We get a really wet summer. So I'm not optimistic this year at all. But there is only so much we can do. So I've got quite an interesting week coming up. Mama and Papa Jem are on their way. Well, not quite yet. They will be leaving soon. They are coming to visit. It is Mama Jem's birthday. And I won't say too much because she'll probably shout at me, but it's a big birthday. It's a milestone birthday. So we're going to do some stuff with her on her actual birthday, which is in the middle of the week. But obviously weekends are more for celebrating. So, but Mama and Papa Jem are coming up separately because Papa Jem has to go back home at some point because he has to work. So we will have both of them for a couple of days, and then it'll be Mama Jem by herself. So looking forward to that. Not so much Papa Jem. I saw both of them fairly recently. We had a memorial service for my gran. That's been a year since she's passed away, and we scattered her ashes. So I went home. I went down to the southwest coast and spent a couple of days there. But Papa Jem came back up with me, so I've seen him fairly recently. So I don't feel as if it's been as long this time since the last time I saw both of them, because it's been less than a month. So that's pretty cool. I like that, because sometimes we do go like 3 or 4 months without seeing each other, and most of you will know I'm quite close with my parents. So yeah, it'll be nice to have them here, and it's always nice to have people rattling about the house as well. I have been quite busy with my social schedule, which is quite unusual for me. And after they leave, well, after Mama Jem leaves, the following weekend, my best friend's coming to stay with me, and she has some time off work, so she's coming up for a couple of days as well. And we always have good fun. Always have good fun when she comes. So I'm looking forward to that as well. The last time she was here, we were playing croquet on the on the bottom lawn. Apparently, at one point, the bottom lawn, which is outside the cave window, we thought it might have been a tennis court at one point, because it is this big square flat piece of grass, and it's suspiciously sized like a tennis court, but apparently it was actually a croquet lawn. So it's not in anywhere near good enough condition to be a croquet lawn now, and I don't think it's been a croquet lawn for many years, but that didn't stop us playing. So we googled all the rules and everything, and we actually had a proper go at it, and we had great fun. So I don't know if there'll be more of that. It depends how dry it is, but we might have another shot at that. So that's always good for a giggle. Okay. Okay, I think with the pink dots, I'm going to stop. There's this natural line here, which is obviously where our parrotfish's gills are. So I think I'm just going to stop there. I like to work in sections. I feel like it makes things more manageable. So I think I'm just going to hold that there. I'm deciding whether these parts here should be yellow. I think they should be yellow. I think we should make them yellow. So we're just going to go pop that in there. Again, we can do a little bit more work on that in due course. So now I'm going to grab the cobalt green and I'm going to get a really, really pointy point on that because there's a lot of intricate areas here to be dealing with. So I'm going to have to really take my time here and make sure we get round everything. Now with this being a darker area as well, I don't feel that I'm going to need the darker turquoise pencil because this seems to be doing a job just with the amount of shading that Tim's actually put in already. But see, I've got it there on standby just in case. Because you just never know. There may be a chance. So the other thing that's happened recently as well that I'm not very happy about, and it's very unusual for me to be unhappy about things, I've been having problems with my internet connection and my signal has been dropping off 4 and 5 times a day. So the company that installed my internet, who I have to say have been very, very good, their customer service is excellent, I'd gotten in touch with them. And apparently the hardware needed a firmware update, which they did remotely. And everything seemed to be great. And when I went to upload the last video, which was the book review, it took nearly 4.5 hours to upload that video. Now, it wasn't a long video, it was only maybe 30 minutes or so. And I realised when I did an internet speed test that whatever they've done when they updated the firmware, they have absolutely destroyed my upload speed. And it was something that wasn't a problem before. My upload speed was pretty good. So we've got issues there and they're looking into it for me. But for now, what that means is any sort of live streaming is just not an option. The lag will be absolutely terrible. So I'm a little bit disgruntled about that, shall we say. And I'm hoping that they're able to come up with a solution. Because right now, having less than 1 meg, as in 1, of upload speed is no use to anyone when you are creating YouTube content. So we'll have to see how that goes. I didn't have any imminent plans for another live stream anyway because I knew that I was going to be busy with people and I just don't have time to fit these things in. I'm pretty busy with my actual work as well just now. There's quite a lot going on there. So I will continue to monitor my schedule and hopefully if I can get something done with my internet connection I can let you guys know when the next live stream, you know, like even a ballpark would be nice because I have so much fun when we're all together and we're just kind of like hanging out and chilling out, and I really enjoy the random and silly conversations that go on as well that you just don't get in the comments section under a traditional video like this. It's incredibly good fun. So my friend was asking me about live streaming not that long ago. And again, it's something I don't really have anybody to talk to about stuff like that because I don't know anyone else that you know, creates content like I do. And I had a friend who'd taken a bit of an interest and she was asking me all sorts of questions and she said, how do you find the live streams? So I was saying to her that the first couple of times I was really, really nervous. And I don't know why, because by nature, I'm not really a nervous person when it comes to things like that. And especially at this stage, and I mean, most of you guys that watch these videos and come in on the live streams, a lot of you have been around for a long time. And I feel like I know some of you quite well. But I find it strange that I do get quite nervous before, you know, and it's usually maybe only like the 10 or 15 minutes before we start. And then it only takes 5 minutes. And then I'm having an absolute ball and it's great fun. So I was kind of explaining this to my friend. And I said to her, the one thing I do notice is, and I don't think it's something that's immediately apparent when you decide to start doing things like that. But if you do a 3-hour live stream, it's actually exhausting, like mentally it's exhausting. And I've been trying to figure out why I feel that way, you know, like I feel really drained after I'm finished. And I think it's just a combination of trying to keep an eye on all of your equipment you know, making sure that the camera's right and the sound's right, and, you know, you're keeping an eye on your actual internet connection and that kind of thing. And then teaming that with concentrating on your actual content, so whether it's colouring or drawing or painting, you're doing that as well. And then on top of that, you're socialising. All that stuff's great, like it's good, but doing the three together for extended periods of time, I think that's what makes it tiring. And it's something that I hadn't anticipated at all. And it's not something that anybody's ever mentioned and said, you know, yeah, if you decide to live stream, you know, you're going to be knackered after it. So that's something that's been quite surprising, and it's something that doesn't really get talked about very often. And I just feel that, you know, it took me by surprise. It doesn't make me not want to do it, though. I really enjoy it. And I've always said that every live stream we've had, I've always had a great time. Really enjoyed myself. And we've come up with some pretty crazy ideas as well, like trying to fit sea creatures into a fridge. You know, just as an example, just saying. And, you know, that's that kind of organic thing that you just don't get in any other situation. And I really, really like that part of it, because it sparks a lot of ideas for me as well. You know, maybe not ones that come out straight away, but, you know, they're in there, they're in the library. The other thing that I have to do next week as well is I'm having to go back to the dentist, the ongoing saga of the dentist. I went for my checkup, and my last appointment before that, which was, I think it was about mid-March, I'd been having problems. I only have one filling, and when I had gone to the dentist, she'd said to me that the filling had actually shifted, and it was going to fall out, so she wanted to replace it, but because it had shifted, it was pressing up against the tooth in behind, and because of that, I wasn't able to, unbeknown to me, I wasn't able to get my toothbrush in there to brush properly, because there was something butting up against it. And she said to me, there's a tiny part of your tooth, you know, the tooth that it was being affected, not the tooth with the filling. And she said she wanted to put like a light sort of Fisher seal coating on it. So she did that, and my mouth hasn't felt right. It's not painful or anything, but subconsciously, like, I don't want to chew on that side of my mouth. So when she said to me, she redid it for me in March, and she said, let it settle down and see how things are. So when I went for my checkup last week, she was asking me about this tooth, and I said to her, it's not painful at all, but it's still not right. So she's had a good poke about my mouth, and she's now going to have a third attempt at trying to fix this filling, and it's the tooth with the filling that's causing the problem. It's not the one in behind that has the Fisher seal on it. So I'm going for a scale and polish anyway, which I absolutely love. Like, that's one of my favourite things in the world, is getting a scale and polish, because it makes my mouth feel so clean. And I'm sure some of you guys out there like that too. Like, it's such a good feeling because your mouth feels amazing. So I'm kind of looking forward to my dental appointment, but by the same token I'm not, because she's going to poke about at that tooth again. But I can't, like, I couldn't describe to her. It just feels as if something's in the wrong place, or like, I don't know. It's so hard to explain, and I didn't do a very good job of articulating myself to her. And she was kind of looking at me like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. And I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm trying to tell you either. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. So there's a little bit of trepidation with that, I think. I've never had any problems with my teeth at all, other than having wisdom teeth wrenched out, which was a wholly unpleasant experience. Apparently the roots on my wisdom teeth are huge. And after I had my last one taken out, now that was years ago, I went back to work after I'd had it taken out, and I ended up passing out at work because I'd lost so much blood. Also, for some reason as well, unbeknown to me, I have no idea why, I don't seem to metabolize painkillers and anaesthetic like normal people, and it takes a lot. I can get 3 injections at a dentist and it just doesn't numb anything. I usually need like the full boonut, and there's only so many that they can give you. And when I had that wisdom tooth out, I had the final injection was actually in the cavity where the tooth was coming out. The dentist had managed to pull the tooth out so far, by which point he had to scrape me off the ceiling. So he gave me the last injection in the hole to try and numb it. and I still felt it coming out. It was like, it was not a good day. I bled quite profusely after that, unsurprisingly. And when I went back to work, I was a farm labourer at that point, so I went back to work to do manual work. And I was carrying feed bags. They are like 25 kilos, but if you put them on top of your shoulder, then you can quite comfortably carry 2 for a short distance, and that's what I was doing. And I passed out and woke up in the middle of the yard, and the dog was licking my face. So no harm done though. I didn't hurt myself or anything, and the feed bags were fine too. So my experience with the dentist has not necessarily been a smooth one when things like that have happened. So I'm a little bit concerned, I'm not gonna lie. But my dentist now did also say to me that at some point one of my other wisdom teeth is going to have to come out, just because of where it is. The position is very crowded, it's very squashed up, and she said there is no physical way for you to clean that tooth properly, so it will start to decay eventually, and when that happens you're going to have it taken out. But she said on the plus side, that'll give you more room in your mouth, you know, to get your toothbrush in round all your other teeth. But she said it's one of those things where you don't take it out unless you have to for aforementioned reasons. So I've got that to look forward to at some point as well. It's like I'm beginning to regret this decision about this dentist thing. You know, I was really happy just going every 6 months and there not being any problems and getting my scale and polish and coming out all happy. Not the case. I'm very lucky though. Genetically, I've been blessed. My teeth are pretty good. They're pretty strong. I say I've only got one filling, so I can't really complain. But it's kind of irritating me that this one tooth that has the filling is being weird. I'm like, can you just stop being weird, please, and just behave like a normal tooth? And let me go about my business. I'm still undecided about what I'm going to do with this part of the fin here. I kind of just want to get all the colour down. I feel like we need more pink here. I feel like this is really washed out, so I think we'll maybe go back and do something with that as well. But what I do want to do now that I've got this turquoise in, the yellow, I feel I want it to blend in more with the colours that I've gone on the fins here, so it's going to be more orange than yellow. So I'm going to use this little section down here as like my guinea pig section, because this is tucked right in, so it's going to be quite dark by nature. I'm going back to the dark chrome yellow, and then with the lighter yellow. I want to do the same with this part here as well, because there is this darker section just at the edge of the fin there. So on this outer edge part here, I'm still using both pencils, but I'm using more yellow than orange, whereas the section in the middle there I used more of the, well, it's the dark chrome yellow, but it's the same thing, you know what. Okay, so we've got this section here now as well, which again I'm going to keep with the turquoise colour. Give us a bit of continuity, because this is joined on here. Only just, but it's joined on. So again, if we get a nice light layer of the turquoise pencil here, and we can bring that all the way down into this part under here as well. So this might be a point where the darker turquoise comes into play. Especially in under here, you know, because that's way tucked in. And we can start to build this colour up a little bit. So where this meets the yellow part, I'm just kind of like using a flicky motion. I want that to be a really gentle transition there. And I feel like we can use the darker turquoise now. So this is the helio turquoise. So just under and around this fin area, and the same round here. And all that's going to do is make the edge of that fin pop out. You can see it's just kind of like pushed the fin forward a little bit. So just a very faintly, I'm almost tracing the outline there. And then what we can do is, if we go into a scumbling motion here, we can just feather that out and blend it in with the lighter turquoise. So that's quite subtle, but it's there. There we are. If we just take that over there, we can blend that together, build up the colour in this middle section a little bit too. So it's almost created a little shadow there. I feel along here we could get a good bit of definition too, just to show that there really is, you know, that is a distinctive overlap there. So we'll bring that right down and in, and we can work on this orange section now as well. So technically, if we mix the turquoise and the yellow, that should give us a greenish colour, and that's absolutely fine because that follows the you know, they're next door to each other in the colour wheel. So either that's going to look okay. You're not going to get like any sort of muddy colour or anything there. And we'll do the same here in this bottom part like we did with the turquoise there. So we're just going to use the dark chrome yellow and just follow that line down. And you can make that quite a defined line if that's what you want. He's looking quite bright and cheery as this fishy. So you can see, because I'm working a little bit harder in this section, I'm really working to refine this, what it's done is these preliminary colours that we've put down in the fins, it makes them look a bit wishy-washy. And that's what I said right back at the start about coming back and, you know, building things up and working away. And this is one of the reasons why I like to do that, because as the picture develops and you do more to it, it brings your eye back to certain points and you think, oh, and that's why it's a really good idea to walk away from your colouring or from your artwork periodically, because coming back to it with a fresh pair of eyes is usually 9 times out of 10 it's useful, it's helpful. So we'll work on this bottom section here again. So I'm using that paler turquoise colour in the lighter section. Bring that down there. And that's going to stand out quite nicely next to that lovely dark line that we've put in. And then using the darker colour very lightly to begin with. Just going to follow this outline here. And we can blend those two sections in together. Bit blendy blendy. My phone's just gone off. I've just had a text message from my neighbour who is learning to drive. She's been working really hard. Being where we are, it's very isolating if you don't drive. There's no public transport and it's in your best interests to be able to drive. So she's been working really hard on her lessons and things, and you know, really putting the effort in and going for it. So it's quite an interesting dynamic just now for me, because I have been driving for years. I have been driving a long time, and I am a person that likes to drive. I enjoy it, and I'm the first person to volunteer if we need to drive any sort of distances. I am very happy to do so. I really enjoy it. And when I passed my driving test as a teenager, I was one of those kids where like my bum was stuck to the driver's seat of the car for like the first 6 months, and even if somebody needed something that was 10 yards away, I'd be like, I'll drive, I'll take you. I really enjoyed it. My best friend that's coming to stay with me, she never learned to drive. She moved to the city when she was not quite 17, just before she turned 17, which is the legal age you can learn to drive in the UK. And because she stayed in the city centre, she had no need for a car, and it was an expense that she just didn't really have the use of, or have a use for, should I say. And now that she is a bit older, she's realised that it would be beneficial. So she's actually learning to drive as well. But my best friend's similar ages to me. She's only a little bit younger than me, whereas my neighbour is very young. So it's quite an interesting dynamic that they're both going through this process at the same time. And their approach to it is, and their attitude towards it is very different. And I find it quite interesting just as an observer. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, because they're telling me all the things that's changed since I sat my test, which was obviously not yesterday. And I don't even know if I'd pass a driving test now, honestly. Some of the things that you have to do, because they were telling me, like, we never had to do anything like use a sat-nav. Sat-nav was in its infancy when I was learning to drive, and it certainly wasn't integrated into your car. So we never had to do anything like that. So there's all these kind of things. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd be any good at that. To be fair, I can't really remember the last time I parallel parked. Don't really have to do it in a tractor either, so I've not needed it for that purpose. I'm really enjoying this turquoise colour here. This is lovely. I'm still sticking with the light one now. And just do this little bit around his mouth. So yeah, that's been quite entertaining for me, and I always make a point. My best friend, she tends to have her driving lesson on a Tuesday. That's her day off work, so she always has it scheduled for then. So on a Tuesday afternoon, once I've finished all my work and everything, I always make a point of phoning her and see how she got on, and you know, she tells me all about her lesson. And it's nice that I can talk to her about that, because for all the years that we've been friends, I've been driving her everywhere. So. But she's enjoying it, like she's actually enjoying the process of learning, and she's not as nervous as she thought she would be, which I said to her, I was like, you've totally got this, like you've nothing to worry about, you're going to be fine. And she was like, oh well, I don't know, but she's fine, she's absolutely fine. Okay, this little mouth section here, I'm not really sure what to do with the inside of his mouth. I'll ponder that while I finish this bottom part here. Get some of this orange in the go. So the next thing as well is that both of them, they need to find themselves a car. And cars are expensive now, even old second-hand cars. I mean, prices of things are just crazy. So they're both on the lookout for something suitable. But I'm super excited about my best friend learning to drive, because I said to her, I was like, once you can drive, you can actually just, you know, even if you've only got one day off, you can come up in your car the night before your day off and you can just come and stay the night. We're about, well, on a good day, maybe 45 minutes away from her. I would say 50 minutes to be safe. So for me to go and pick her up, and, you know, for her to come and stay, I'm basically driving an hour and a half to go and get her. And then an hour and a half to take her home the next day as well. So especially driving a truck, they're not fuel efficient at all. And unfortunately our fuel prices are absolutely horrendous now. So the back and forth that I would normally do, I really can't afford to do it without, you know, having some sort of chip in for fuel money, and it's just really not worth her while if it's only going to be one night. But if I go down and stay with her, it's very difficult for me to find somewhere to park. She is going to have to fight for a parking space on her own street because she has no off-street parking. And taking a truck down, again, I can't squeeze into any old space. So yeah, the practicalities of it, and also as well, if I stay with her, I have to sleep on her couch. So she likes coming up here to get away from the hustle and bustle of the town and the city. So I think once she learns to drive, we'll probably see a little bit more of her. But she has no responsibilities in terms of, she has no kids and she has no pets either. So she's very much a free spirit in terms of being able to go and do things whenever she pleases, as long as she's not working. So that's definitely going to be advantageous. I feel like this part here needs to be much, much darker. I'll go back in with the dark chrome yellow. So it'll be interesting to see, and it's a dynamic that's, it's been the same way for so many years. I mean, and I've driven everywhere for forever, and it's just going to feel really, really weird. I mean, I've been friends with my best friend twice as long as I've been with Mr. Jem. So, you know, it's we're long-standing friends. And for something like that, you know, like the driving thing to change, I think it's going to be really weird, but it's going to be really cool as well. So I'm super looking forward to it. Really, really am. Okay, well, we've got this little bit up here now. It's quite funny though, because Mr. Jem it became a bit of a standing joke that every time Mr. Jem saw her, he would say to her, "You learning to drive yet?" And that went on for years, and it got to the point where it got a bit wearing and she got pissy about it. And I had to say to him, I was like, "You're going to have to stop mentioning that. Like, you're really going to have to stop it." But I'm really glad that she's decided to do it, because I said to her, I said, even if you decide, you know, if whatever your circumstances, if you decide to stay in the city and you don't actually need a car, no one's saying that you have to buy a car and keep a car, but if you can drive, as long as you do it every now and then, you know, it's a good life skill to have. And then if there's an emergency, then you can always hire a car and get to where, you know, you need to get to. Oh, it's absolutely chucking it down. Oh no. Lovely Scottish summer weather. Wow. Okay, time to go back to the turquoise. And we're going to do his little nose now. Since this is more of the same, I'll probably just speed this part up because that's quite tedious. And I'll catch you up when I am done with this. Okay, so we've got his nose all sorted out now. And I'm going to go back in with my pink pencil and just do these other dots here as well. So again, quite tedious, nothing that exciting going on. And then after that we can talk about everything else. I have left this area around his eye here because I think I might incorporate a bit of the blue in there just to tie in with the ends of these fins and the tail as well. So we're going to have a little go with this. So again, just the same as before when we did this back section, I'm just trying to keep an even pressure and get a steady amount of colour over all of these little dots. So this part's quite time consuming, but I find it's one of those things that because you're not having to put too much thought into it, you kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm and it almost becomes like meditative. So we'll just work our way around here. And I think once I've got these dots done, it'll help me make a decision on what I want to do with this mouth section here as well, because I'm still very divided and undecided about that. So we'll crack on with these just now, and we'll see how that leaves things. Yeah, getting there now. Starting to work my way around. My mind's wandering away to these fins and the part around the eye and all these other things. Thinking, right, we need to do this to get this finished. On a bit of a mission today, I think, guys. I'm enjoying the fact that these spots are getting larger and fewer and further between the closer we get to the front. That's making me happy right now. I'm starting to go a bit cross-eyed in the middle there. So while I'm doing this, naturally we're coming closer to every aspect of this image being coloured, and it keeps drawing my eye back to this section of the tail here, of the body here, and it just looks really pale and washed out even compared to our spots. So I think that's my intuition's telling me that I need to go back here next and just darken some of this down and make it a bit more vibrant. So that's probably where I'm going to head after I've finished off these spots. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in with my lightest pink here, and I really just want to get a little bit more colour down these sections. I just feel like it's too pale. And there we are, just that tiny little bit there's just made me feel so much better about that, because we've still got a little bit of a sheen here and a highlight. I think I might add some of this darker pink in here as well, just in these top sections. So just the tiniest hint there. And I'm going to use the darker pink, so that's the middle purple pink, and I'm going to use these for this section of these dots around the eyes, and it's really just for a little bit of variation. I think with these surrounding ones here, this sort of half circle section here, I'm going to pop a bit of the lightest pink down and then go in with the darker pink, just to give us a sort of like a transition section almost. So just do these individually for now. Take a little bit of time over this area. Missed a bit there. You didn't see that. So you can see there that's starting to sort of stand out a little bit more. But not only that, it's tying in with these sections down here and at the curve of this fish. So we're really just trying to use the colours that we've got, keep it colourful, but also keep it as cohesive as possible as well. And get this bigger section under his eye now as well. So I need to be a bit lighter here with the darker shade, just because we're working in a bigger area. Need to build it up. And then this line of markings down here, down the nose, just going to continue that on, I think to maybe there. And then the rest of them, I'm just going to use the middle purple pink on its own. And again, just build up a couple of layers gradually here, so we get some nice intense colour. He's looking good. I'll just finish off these last few dots here on the nose section. And then on this larger section, I'm going to use the two pinks again. And I'm going to have the darker pink at the top here. So kind of taking a step back now and having a look at them. I'm still not happy with this the pale pink areas. So I think I'm going to go back over the entire section. I just feel it should be more vibrant than it is. Because, you know, when you got a colourful chappie like this, it deserves to be in all his colourful glory. So working the way around here really shouldn't take all that long. The phrase that's springing to mind here about our fish is peely wally. That is a very well-used Scottish phrase, and it just means washed out or pale. So yeah, but I feel like our fish's body is very peely wally, and we can't have that. That's just not acceptable. Especially these sections here. Okay, that's a bit better, a bit happier with that now. So now, I just want to pop a little bit of this yellow in this fin here. So that's helping us bring together this section with what's going on here as well, which is lovely indeed. And on this back fin here, or this back part of the fin, should I say, it is all one fin. I just want to take my blue colour again, which is the cobalt blue greenish, and using this flicking motion, I just want to build up on what's already there. So we're giving that a bit more depth and a bit more texture as well, so it's important to have a sharp pencil when you do this so you get nice, crisp, defined lines. And then on this very outside edge here, I'm going to grab one of our purples. So again, this is tying in more with what's going on in the tail fin. So just by adding in that tiny bit of purple. So I'm going to use the lighter purple, I'm going to use the manganese violet for this. And I'm just going to take it right along that very, very fine edge there. And then blend it into the blue area. Just with the same strokes I was using before. I couldn't do that up there, I just didn't have space for it there. Now, I feel as well that these parts of the tail where the body meets the tail, they look kind of washed out. And I'm going to take my darker purple here, which is the mauve, and not pressing as hard as I did down in this section here, so much, much lighter hand. But I just want to bring some of that mauve in to that blue area at the bottom, just where it's paler here. Yeah, I just feel that that's a bit kind of washed out look in that section. Okay, and back to our cobalt turquoise now. We can add in some more texture here. Pressing a little bit harder this time though. Oh, that was too hard. Okay, lovely. I feel like I want to tie this mouth section in with the tail. So for his mouth area, I am going to take the mauve and the cobalt blue greenish. So I'm starting with the mauve there. Now I don't know what colour their teeth are. That looks like teeth, but it kind of doesn't. So I'm going to have a little bit of the blue into the mauve at the front here. There we go. So now you can see when you look at the entire picture, there's one area that stands out. These. So we're going to do a little bit of work on these and make them a bit bolder and a bit brighter too. I do want to take the dark chrome yellow here just to this section round the fin. Yeah, just tie it in a bit better. Okay, so for this fin here, I'm wanting to stick with these blue colours. Now we did start that there, so I just want to build that up a little bit more. Make that a bit more pronounced. So this is just the cobalt blue. I've not actually used the Prussian blue here yet. I'm just going to add a bit of that in at the base here and along that bottom edge too. And do the same with this one down here. And I'm going to use the darker pink here on the inside edge. And that's the middle purple pink. So again, we're just bringing all the colours into different areas of the picture here. And then we're going to go back to our purples. And we're just going to add in a bit more of the mauve and the manganese violet. Well, if I turn this way, just because it's easier on my hand for these flicky motions. So we're just wanting to build up a bit more colour here. Make it a bit richer, because again, it does look quite washed out now compared to our other areas of our little fishy friend here. Focusing most of my efforts in at the base here for the moment. You can see I'm starting to build that up a bit more now. And then gradually lengthen those strokes. There we are, better already. And then the same with the mauve, just go in and do the same thing. So we're really keeping that idea of the texture of the fin here. And then if we want to, the likes of here, it's quite pale. If we go very gently, we can use a circular motion with our lighter purple. And just build up a little bit of colour here without really destroying too much of what we've been trying to achieve with the texture. And by nature, fish's fins at the end are always a little bit paler, a little bit more transparent. So there we go. I feel like that's much more in keeping with his tail now as well. And we're going to do the same with this one underneath. Now, bearing in mind that this is tucked in behind, there might be a lot more of the darker colour. So the mauve in this one. Put a little bit of the manganese violet down. And then we'll focus a bit more on making some really bold lines with the mauve pencil. And I'm actually tempted to darken this down even more just under here. So concentrating my strokes in that one area right next to the body. That's fairly good going. Okay, and just now for the final touches, I just want to bolden up the top edge of this dorsal fin here, and I've got this little bit around the eye, and that is it. So I'm taking my darker blue this time, so this is the Prussian blue, and I'm going to get as fine a point as I can get on this pencil, and I just want to flick in some lines from the top down here. So I'm going to start, I should really start at this end, that would make more sense for me, being left-handed. So you can see now that this, I'll zoom that in a little bit so you can see, so this kind of texture here is now matching what's going on down with this one down here. So I'm not pushing back over what I've done, I'm just making my way along and doing the strokes, and that's it. Okay, for this last part here in round the eye area, I'm going to put down a really light layer of this cobalt blue and just build that up quite gradually. And then I'm just going to blend it out a little bit round this outside edge into our turquoise from before. Like he's got blue eyeliner on. Okay, and that's it. I'm going to call it done at that. I've had such good fun with this. I want to thank Tim again as well for entering into the live stream initially and giving us all his words of encouragement, because they are always appreciated. So if you do enjoy Tim's work and would like to be in with a chance to win one of his digital download colouring books, then now is your chance, because Mr. Jeffs has kindly given us 3 of his sketches colouring book digital downloads to give away to the cavers. So if you would like to win a digital copy of one of Tim's colouring books, all I want you to do is leave me a comment down under this video and tell me what your favourite animal is and why it's your favourite animal, just to be in with a chance. So this is a worldwide giveaway. Obviously it's a digital download, therefore you must be able to provide an email address for us to send the colouring books to. I'm sure you'll all join me in thanking Tim very much for his generosity and also for his presence, and also a thank you to the lovely Jo who does all the organising, and she is an absolute saint. So get down into the comments section, let me hear about your favourite animals. You know that I like to read the comments anyway, so you'll give me plenty to keep myself entertained with. And that is it for today, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe, take care of each other, and I will see you back in the cave on Thursday for another video. So have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.